Well, it's great to meet you, and I would love to begin our conversation before we get into your work in marketing and automation by asking you, we're on the 4-year anniversary of this pandemic. How did you get through the pandemic, and how did it change you?
Me personally?
Yeah, well, I guess the Venn diagram can bleed into itself as far as
Yes.
being a professional and personally.
For me personally, it was a great time.
Yeah,
I wasn't, I was in Israel back at that time, and the place where I lived, also like right on the coast, on the beach, like walking distance from the beach. So I didn't really care about the pandemic so much, and I didn't have any restrictions on my movement because the place where I live, it's a kibbutz, if you know what that is. It's like a very peaceful place,
yeah,
unless you're attacked by Hamas. It's a very peaceful place,
yeah.
and you can walk to the beach. There's like most people are home. I had like an entire beach for myself. I didn't care about all the shots and all that, so I just went surfing and had a great time. And there was the roads were empty, the air was clean, so I had a great time. And for the business also, we're B2B, like having calls with clients and so on. So we started this company, Entail AI. We started during the pandemic. And I think we owe it to the pandemic because I'm not the person that would drive to meetings all the time or fly to meetings, and people got used to working online. So all the bad stuff that happened in the pandemic didn't really affect me, but I think we come to think of it, if you put politics aside and all the craziness that went around the world because of the pandemic, it was quiet. People traveled less,
Yeah.
less air pollution, and I could have meetings on Zoom and it really helped the business. So in that way, I would have the pandemic like 365 days a year.
Yeah.
And only in those aspects, of course, like not the shots and all the craziness that went around it and all the fake news and the real news or whatever, who knows whatever news. But those aspects, they worked fine for me. So I think I got COVID like once.
Yeah.
I was sick for a few days. Wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
That's it, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah.
let's get to the heart and soul of what you do on a daily basis. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders at career day, and one of the kids is curious and says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How do you answer that child?
I'm co-founder and CEO of Entail AI, which is an organic marketing platform, which means that we're a platform that helps businesses get, customers' attention from social media and search by creating content, like high quality content for their customers, and generating organic traffic from those platforms, and then they're converting the traffic into sales.
So, what did you want to be in the third grade? What was your dream?
Wow. I don't remember a real dream. I was like kind of like I don't know, like just having fun, and I didn't really like plan ahead that far.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
how did this happen? Take me back to your childhood. What were the seeds that made you want to be an entrepreneur, a CEO, to get into marketing? All of these things that have become you today. How did that happen?
I wasn't planning on any of that. I was just a very independent person since I was a kid. Like I told you, I grew up in a kibbutz. My parents, my family, like, half my family came from the States, actually. Like my mom's side came from the States, and they lived close to the beach, like in Israel. And I grew up in the kibbutz where my dad was from. And then my parents decided to leave the kibbutz when I was a kid, and I said no. I was about 9 or 10, and then I went back there, and I just lived there with my grandparents. So I was very independent, and since I was a young kid, and I think I never really had a job besides I had to serve in the army, growing up in Israel, but I never had besides the army. I never had a real job where I worked for somebody, and I never did. And I don't know how it would I don't know how it would work out for me if I did. But that I think that more than anything else is what drove me to doing this. Like I was in the army. Israel is a tiny country, so after the army, that almost tradition to go and travel the world. So I traveled for 5 years afterwards.
Yeah.
After being confined like that and in a small country in a place where you don't have a lot of freedom, then I went and traveled for 5 years, and then when I came back, I wanted to surf and have fun. And at a certain point, needed to also make money. And I had a couple of dogs, so I said, okay, I'll start a business so I can still keep on surfing and being with my dogs. Like really kind of a cliche, but that's how it was,
Yeah.
and found myself now at Entail, with about 50 employees, now surfing in Portugal.
Very cool. So, hopefully things get better in Israel. Do you have plans on going back? What's kind of your thought on going back to the homeland?
I mean, I love Israel. I love the culture. I love the food. I have to say that, I mean, I went out of Israel before October 7th. I
Yeah.
mean, for me, first of all, I traveled for many years and I like international culture. I like people. I like, I like this planet. So I want to travel and have a year and a half. I mean, a year and 7 months year old baby now, toddler already. So also want to expose him for more things than just what we had in Israel. So I plan to move also before that.
Yeah.
But the situation there was, even before October 7th, it was this really crazy government there. I mean, if you really look at the situation, and Israel is a tiny country in basically the worst neighborhood in the world, and with a lot of enemies. And the only reason why it's still alive is is basically a very strong army that's built on, yeah, US support as well, but it's mostly built on a very strong society, very unified society with all the, like, post-trauma, not just one Holocaust, but they went through a series of events. I told you I grew up for a few years with my Polish grandparents.
Yeah.
They were Jews that came from Poland, so not only their entire families, but everyone they knew was murdered there, So this is what this country was founded on.
Yeah.
And so it's a very strong society. And if you're a good person in that society and you go and you serve your country, it's not like serving America. It's a huge country. You fight wars like, I know, 5,000 miles away from home.
Yeah.
There, the wars are very, very close.
Yeah.
And so you have this country built on a very strong army that's built on a strong society. And then you have this crazy government whose entire job or his entire goal is to break this society into pieces. And I told my wife, I think the situation is just too dangerous. It's like it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
You have the ultra hot Orthodox that don't serve in the army, and then you have this crazy government and all the legislation they're trying to pass and like reform, so to speak. It's more like a coup. And I thought the situation was too dangerous. We moved out of, I mean, we didn't really move. We just went to travel in Portugal for a few months. And then October 7th happened. And I mean, we were lucky not to be there, even though like my wife's cousin was murdered there in the peace party.
Yeah.
And we know other people that were also either murdered or affected. Um, but I think now for Israel right now, if we speak politics for a sec, the number one threat for Israel is Benjamin Netanyahu. The second threat is the ultra Orthodox, then it's Iran, then Hezbollah, and then Hamas. Okay. And then you also have internal issues with Israeli Arabs. Again, by the way, living as equal citizens, they have the exact same rights. All this like brainwash and propaganda about apartheid and all that. It's complete bullshit. Just visit Israel and you see for yourself. But there's also internal issues of bringing all these cultures together. But these are minor issues, really. It's
Yeah.
it's less of an issue than white and black issues in the US. Okay.
Yeah.
You also have issues with that. It doesn't mean that people don't live together. It doesn't mean that you have marriage between whites and blacks. But there's still issues that you need to resolve, and it takes hundreds of years apparently. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's still issues there between Israeli Jews and Israeli Arabs. Okay, that need to be solved.
Yeah.
But the main problems are now, I think, the government, and I don't know how long it's going to take. I think it's a bad situation for many good people that live there.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, just to finish off with that, I did go to a lot of protests against this like extreme right-wing government. It's not just right-wing; it's a government that's only for the benefit of Benjamin Netanyahu to keep him out of jail. Okay, but when you go to these protests and you see the people there, you say, "Wow! If the people protesting against this government, if this was the entire population of Israel, it would have been the best country in the world." You see, like the values of these people, the type of people from all different parts of society, Jews and Arabs, okay? Druze, if you know, that's another like ethnicity living in Israel. Um, Everybody there, like wonderful people that just want to live liberal life, equal life in peace. And this government is really hindering them from doing that.
So now you've made it very clear why Donald Trump likes Netanyahu so much.
I mean, I don't know Trump that well, you know.
Oh, it
But
every
I think Netanyahu is probably the smartest politician in the world. I'm not saying wise. I mean, I don't know if you are distinguish between this. I'm not saying he's a good person. I'm saying brain wise
gotcha. Yeah.
is, I mean, if is he controls Israel, if he controlled Russia or America, okay, is as smart as they get. Is very, very, very smart and cunning. And I think, yeah, I think Trump can learn a lot from Netanyahu doesn't have the entire US resources behind him. Israel is a tiny, tiny country, okay?
Yeah.
But he's super smart. That's why he stays in power, you know?
Yeah. So let me get back into your life here a little bit and ask you who's been kind of a hero for you in your pursuits and in your life? Who's that inspirational figure for you?
Depends on what aspect, you know. I think when it comes, I mean, if we're talking about business wise, um, I had a partner, my previous company. His name was Shai Ben Itzhak, Ben Isaac, you'd say in English. He founded Triple Eight Online Gambling. We were good friends. We were partners for 9 years. I mean, he would, like I said, he founded AAA. They IPO'd for over $1 billion, so he was really well off, and he basically funded the entire company for 9 years. Unfortunately, he died in an airplane crash 4 years ago, just when COVID started. But I learned a lot from him. He basically, for the previous company, he rented us his neighbor's house, and we worked out of there. We're like about 15 people in a startup, and I would meet with him like a few times a week and just sit with him, you know, at his home and just basically just consult with him and learn from him a lot. So when it came to how to run a company, how to build marketing, mostly like I mean, he was mostly into marketing and he really was a numbers freak in that way. And I learned a lot. I mean, Entail AI is a marketing platform, and a lot of his spirit, you know, in terms of business, still lives in how we built this platform and all the principles that we work by.
So if you could meet one person alive on the planet that you find fascinating right now, who would it be? Who would you love to meet and talk to?
Wow, just one person.
Well, you could throw a few in there if you wanted to.
I mean, I can tell you people that I like to follow. Maybe that's an
Sure.
easier question for me. I mean, I like so. I mean, I do because of the situation now. I do see a lot of political stuff. Usually, I don't watch any politics, but when I see political stuff, I really love Douglas Murray. I think he's very. Do you know who this guy
Yeah.
is?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I think he really understands the situation in the world. I think one of the things I would say I even worry about in general is whether the West really understands the situation because Israel is going to fight with or without support. I mean, Israel has fought for 75 years, not always with support. But the question is, what's going to happen in the West? What's going to happen in the West, where, you know, if the West will still be able to maintain its values and its way of life that's in danger today. And I think Douglas Murray really understands that. So I really like to follow him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the person. I mean, I think from everyone I see on the media, I haven't seen anyone as sharp as him.
Yeah. So let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Of all of the advice that you've gotten in your life, what's the best advice you've gotten?
Wow. Just to single out just one piece of advice.
Well, yeah, maybe there's a theme, something along those lines.
Um, you put me on the spot here. Yeah.
Well, we could put that on the back burner. Let's segue into being a highly driven business owner. What is your motivation every day to get up to not only to do your work and to have happy clients, but to evolve as a human being?
So my motivation, I think, I'm very basic, you know. I just want to live a good and quiet life. It's really about building a business that you know. I'm not trying to be. Maybe it's not a good pitch to investors, okay? But I'm not trying to be the richest person in the planet or anything like that. I'm not trying to be a billionaire or anything. I'm just very passionate about making this thing work. I mean, I really like. I love marketing. I love building technology for marketing. Um, and just making this business successful that everybody that works in this business can prosper and live a good life. It's really that simple, you know.
What's one of your favorite client success stories so far?
Um, I love the success that we've had with we have a client called Upstep. They're the number one company for custom orthotics in the US. They sell they're really cool. They started with they call it like a step box. It's like a box that you open and you step in it. It has like a cast thing like when you do orthotics.
Uh-huh.
Close it back, ship it. It comes with an envelope. You ship it back, and they create custom orthotics and they send it to you. And now they have a really cool tech where you just take out your phone, you shoot a photo of your foot, and by that photo they can create a custom orthotics that are just like as good as or maybe even better than custom orthotic you'd go to I don't know to like buy from a podiatrist or whoever does orthotics.
Yeah.
And what we've had with them is we just managed to build an entirely new marketing channel for them, like organic marketing through a lot of like high quality content work, building a lot of content pages and getting a lot of conversions from them, from everyone that's interested in plantar fasciitis, flat feet, metatarsalgia, and all those topics. That's just
Yeah, yeah.
one.
So of
Yeah.
all of the things that you've done in your life, what are you the proudest of?
Proudest of. I don't know. I mean, I'm really proud of building this company. I mean, we built it as a more or less. We did raise money, but we work more or less like as a bootstrap company, which means we're not burning money. We're actually selling and providing value and building the company accordingly. Um, and and yeah, I mean, I'm very proud of that. I'm proud of I like surfing, so I'm very proud of like spending time on the water, surfing, kite surfing or regular surfing. So also that. Yeah.
So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 18-year-old version of you. You can give that young version of you a piece of advice based on the wisdom you've gained so far in life. What advice would you give your younger self?
Um, I would probably start doing yoga and start surfing at a younger age.
Yeah.
So yoga, I mean, this the two things. Seriously, it's this. Yoga is I like surfing, and I think like as I grow older, I'm 43 now. So as I grow older, I think like it's more and more like about being able to stay healthy and not getting injured and being able to surf. I have a friend who surfs with me sometimes he's 75. So being able to surf for many years, you need to stay healthy. And so yoga keeps you fit and not just fit, but keeps this body healthy, I think. And the other part is surfing because that's really the place where like you're away, you're completely disconnected, you're in the water by yourself. It's like complete freedom. So like these two things together, I think are a very good recipe for happiness.
So, Tom, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, clients, but you run the show. What's your
Mhm.
perception of you? Who do you think you are?
Wow, you have like really every one of your questions is really like spot on. So perception of myself, wow. Um, I mean, so I can tell you a few things. So one of them is I think I'm pretty good with understanding like when it comes to so I'm talking like in the context of business. So I'm really good with understanding like how to build marketing and especially custom marketing, kind of like unique marketing, not just doing like campaigns or like using the regular channels. I'm very good with identifying like how to build a process that works and then how to automate that process. And that's at the and also how to productize that. And that's at the core of what Intel does. Um, and one of the reasons I think I'm good with that is that I'm a very impatient person. So that's also an impression that many people know that about me, but also I know about myself. And so because I'm impatient, I mean, I don't, I don't have patience for things that don't really work.
Yeah.
So I understand how you need to really experiment and move from things that don't work very quickly and double down on those that do work, you know?
Yeah, for sure. So if anyone out there wants to hire you, learn more about you, reach out any of the good business, where do they go?
So our company is called Entail AI. You can just go to Entail.ai and find us there. Yeah, or you can reach me out on LinkedIn as well. I'm quite responsive.
Okay. Tom, this has been wonderful. Thank you for being open. Thank you for kind of traversing the world of what's going on and what's going on with your world. I appreciate it. Best of luck with everything. It's been great.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.